What's not to say about Christopher Emmanuel Paul, the point guard, the greatest point guard that I've seen with my two eyes besides Mr. Wardell, Stephen Curry, who I believe is the second greatest point guard of all time. When you think about Chris Paul, you're thinking about a leader. You're thinking about sacrifice. You're thinking about someone that can impact everyone around him. You're thinking about efficiency. You're thinking about someone that is a superstar, and the league was like, you know what? We can't let this guy team up with Kobe Bryant. Like, that's how good Chris Paul was in his prime. So when you're thinking about Chris Paul, you're thinking about assists, steals, rebounder, points per game, floor general, the point guard. I mean, we're going to get into it soon, but I'm going to leave those in a few words.
Ziggy Zig, you making the case for the two-time MVP. What's your case?
Rightfully so, the two-time MVP. Steve Nash, one of the greatest point guards to ever grace an NBA floor. I'm giving it to him. You heard Andres talk about efficiency. I definitely don't think of efficiency when I hear Chris Paul. That more so goes to Steve Nash. I'm talking one of 7 players to be in, what is that called? The 50, what's that club called?
50, 40, 90
50,
club.
40,
50,
90
40,
club.
90 club, exactly,
Sir.
right? And he came close again, but he got 50, 40, 88. So Steve Nash was one of the most efficient point guards, capable of shooting. I'm not even going to get into the part about his passing skills. I'll leave that when we get into the full debate. But Steve Nash, efficiency, great shooter. I won't say scorer, great shooter from all levels of the floor.
So Manny, I know you're the resident Jason Kidd and the Nets fan. Clearly, as we can tell, you got the Nets throwback on. You got the Brooklyn Nets hat on. So what are your thoughts here? How does Jason Kidd even fit into this conversation?
He don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay, Zig. Anyways, my man was the first player to ever record 15,000 points, 10,000 assists, and 7,000 in rebounds as a point guard. This man paved the way for all the point guards that we have currently in this day. Obviously, he's not the one to be the one to give you the 34 points, 40 points and stuff. This man was Mr. Triple-Double before Russell Westbrook. Let's remember that. This man has 107 triple-doubles career-wise. And he was third all-time in triple-doubles. But obviously, we know LeBron and Westbrook will beat that record. And let's put respect on Jason Kidd's name. This man turned an entire franchise around. Literally in his first season joining. His first team, when he was with the Suns, before he got drafted by the Mavericks, when he was with the Suns, he went to the playoffs every single time he was with the Suns for 5 years. The minute he gets traded to the Nets before that had 26 wins. What happened? His first year with the Nets, 52 wins. My man took him to the finals, put up great numbers to help his team excel. Obviously, we got swept by the Lakers. No team in the East was beating that Lakers team. I'm sorry. Rest in peace to Kobe. And Shaq, one of the greatest centers of all time. They were not beating them. Let's just remember that. And we pushed the Spurs to 6 games.
So, man,
what have your two guys have done going to the finals?
That's a great point. I don't think his 2 players have been to the finals. The other 2 haven't.
That's a fair statement.
So when we take a look at it, we have individual accolades for Chris Emmanuel Paul and also for Steve Nash, individual accolades. But Jason Kidd has the team accolades to help his team. So Ziggy, what do you have to say for that?
Steve Nash is better than Jason Kidd. That's all I got to say about that. You understand what I'm saying? Jason Kidd, for all the point guard duties that he developed and brought to the NBA and that we got to witness, watching him as a Phoenix Sun and as a New Jersey Net and as a Dallas Maverick, because I'm gonna give him that, and as a New York Knick, he definitely was doing his thing. But I'm not giving that to him. I'm taking that from him. I'm giving that to Steve Nash. Manny could sit here and talk about how Jason Kidd came over in his first season and developed the team and yada, yada, yada. Steve Nash came from Dallas, right, to Phoenix for his first season. And what did he do? He won an MVP. What did he do with Phoenix? From 29 games the season before, they improved all the way to 62. I believe that's a further margin in comparison to what Jason Kidd did. So Steve Nash is, like I told you before, is better than Jason Kidd. To me, in my opinion, I see a lot of. I'm not trying not to curse, but I'm seeing a lot of nonsense in the comments here. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, Steve.
So now we talk about the team accolades. Jason Kidd bring his team to the finals. Steve Nash able to bring his team to 60 wins. Could we make that argument for Chris Emmanuel Paul when it comes to the team accolades? Andres.
So when we think about Chris Paul, we think about the only player in NBA history to lead the league in steals per games in 4 consecutive seasons. We think about the only player in NBA history to lead the league in assists and steals in at least 6 seasons. We think about a 10-time NBA All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first team, 7-time NBA All-Defensive team, The Clippers, prior to Chris Paul, they only had 7 playoff appearances. In the 6 seasons with Chris Paul, they made the playoffs every single year. So just like Manny wants to use that logic of Jason Kidd, yada, 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 whatever we want to say about Jason Kidd, the Clippers never missed the playoffs with Christopher Emmanuel Paul. Christopher Emmanuel Paul, in his 15 years in the NBA, he only missed the playoffs once, and that was because he was injured. He averages more points per game, more assists, more steals, higher player efficiency rating, higher offensive win shares. He has a higher Bucks plus minus. Regular season wise, he's the man. Now I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh well, what did he do in the playoffs? Why couldn't he get his team to a conference finals? I'm glad you said that. When Chris Paul in 2010 got hurt, and then he was like testing out free agency, he was supposed to get traded to the Lakers. And if you've been living under a rock, if you've only been watching the NBA for 2 or 3 years, you still know this because the NBA talks about it. We talk about it here in the Sports Hit List. All the Laker fans talk about it. Chris Paul was supposed to get traded to the Lakers, and David Stern, who had the rights of the Hornets at the time, he was like, you know what? No, that's just not going to happen. They were protecting their glory boy, Mr. 23, for the Chicago Bulls. We're not going to talk about that. Chris Paul finished top 5 in MVP in 08 and 09. He brought the Hornets from a lottery team to a 56-win team, and Chris Paul could have arguably, not going to say he should have, could have arguably won MVP in 2008. A lot of people like to say, well, listen, Jason Kidd brought the Nets to the finals. Okay, that's a cute story. You can't control who you play, but guess how many 50-win teams the Nets played in those 2 years? 1. Guess how many teams that won 40-plus games made the NBA Finals in NBA history? 15. The last team to win only 40-plus games and make the NBA Finals was the 03 Nets. The team prior to them was the 81 Rockets. The 81 Rockets only won 40 games. They won 40 and 42. And they lost to the Boston Celtics, led by Larry Bird.
Manny, what do you have to say for that? Manny, are you rolling your eyes over there? He doesn't seem to be paying attention.
Listen here. We all wish that CP3 did go to the Lakers. We all know that.
No, we don't. Stop
well,
it.
you obviously.
Hell yeah, we do.
No,
Hell yeah, we do.
No, we don't. But go ahead.
So we understand that. But Chris Paul, the difference between Jason Kidd and these 2 other point guards, Chris Paul and Steve Nash are scorers, scoring point guards.
What?
Jason Kidd was a patch first point guard.
Steve Nash was not a pass first point guard?
With the Suns?
Yeah.
My man put up what, 30 points, 20 points and stuff like that?
I think
he averaged 15 and 11 for his first season.
He didn't average that much he
averaged 15 and 11 for his first season. He wasn't a scorer. He was a pass first guy, man. Even when he was playing in Dallas, he was the third option.
Man.
Okay. But all right, you got that. But first off, calm down. Because also in his first year with the Nets, Jason Kidd got snubbed for the MVP. Let's be real here.
Okay, so that's like me saying Chris Paul got snubbed for the MVP too. Chris Paul got better stats than
was Chris Paul ever MVP? Or any top 5 or anything like that?
He was the MVP.
No,
Oh wait, he was.
Wait, yeah, 08 and 09.
08 he was.
In 09 he finished 5th, and in 08 he finished 2nd behind Kobe.
Also, Ziggy, you talking about Steve Nash and stuff. Look at the teams that he had. Look at the players that he had. When did Jason Kidd have a guy like a Murray Stoudemire on his team? Now, granted, that's not his fault. He played with his team. They got him whatever. But you compare those teams that he played, and also, let's not forget, Jason Kidd played in the West as well. So if we're going to try to throw this, he played in the East. They were weak. Andres, I'm talking about you. 50-plus teams. Jason Kidd doesn't need to win 60-plus games to make it to the finals. He helped his team. He was the main focal point of that team. Without him, they were not going anywhere. The Nets were going to be garbage without him in those years if you take him out.
But you could say
that's the biggest.
Wait. So time out. When after Jason Kidd turned 33 years old, he became a role player in Dallas. When CP3 was 33 years old, he was up 3-2 on the Warriors. When Steve Nash was 35 years old, he went to 6 games with the 2010 Lakers. So what's Jason Kidd's excuse for his peak not being going?
So you know what? But you know what? To be fair, though, think about when Jason Kidd, he did go to a
Jason Kidd played
team,
in
and then the Knicks team won 50 games that year.
Stop it.
I'm just being fair. Let's be honest here.
What are we talking about?
That's not a lie. That's a fact. I'm just making a fact. I'm just making a note, though.
That Jason Kidd And I watched that team. Jason Kidd was absolutely amazing in that run with the Knicks. By the time the All-Star break came around, Jason Kidd was tired. He gave us basically nothing for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. So don't give me that. That's
Chris
bullshit.
Paul just turned 35 years old, and the Suns said, "You know what? We need to pair him with Devin Booker." Were the Mavericks doing that with Jason Kidd at 35? No, they were a first-round exit.
At 35. What happened in 2011?
He was a role player. He wasn't the
He
point
wasn't a
guard.
star.
He wasn't
Hold on.
A star.
Who said
He
he was
wasn't a star. He was a role player.
He wasn't a star when he was with the Mavericks the second stint. We know that.
The second
he played
stint,
his
yeah.
role, but he was one of the main guys to help out with that team to win the
Okay,
chip.
so let's
as
talk
a
about
team
this.
accolade.
Okay, so let's talk about this though. Starting a franchise, you look at all 3 point guards that have great dynamic, and you can't go wrong. Who do you start your franchise with?
We already know my answer.
Chris Paul.
Steve Nash.
Listen,
but why?
Jason Kidd.
Make me a case. I'm starting a franchise. I have these 3 guys in the draft. Knowing what you know, who do you take?
Chris Paul.
Because
he was a better floor general, longevity. He was a scorer first point guard, and he could give you 10 assists a game. His peak was longer than Steve Nash. He wasn't as efficient as Jason Kidd was.
Zig?
If you're looking to build right on a team, if you're looking to build a team and you're looking to grab a point guard, you want to grab Steve Nash, as I said, for the reason being that he was efficient. In today's NBA, you are seeing what it means to have a wonderful scorer, a wonderful shooter on your team. You see what it is now in today's NBA. If Steve Nash did not have the spinal injury that took out his career, who knows what could have been, or let's just say if he was playing in this time with the Trae Youngs and the John Morants and those guys, we know that he would be killing. And Carl, know how you feel about that word if, but I don't give a damn about what you got to say about
we don't give a damn what Carl got.
You understand what I'm saying? And on top of that, Steve Nash, he showed you in Dallas that he can be the third option behind Michael Finley and Dirk Nowitzki and still be an effective piece and still do it as the main guy, as we saw in Phoenix. All right. You could sit here and time out all you want. Steve Nash was the third option on Dallas, and then he started to rise towards the end of his tenure with that team.
Wait a minute. Didn't Carl, how many times did the Mavericks make the finals with Steve Nash? 0, correct?
Good point.
After Steve Nash left that team, what did the Mavericks do in 06?
They made it to the finals.
They made it to the finals.
That's a great point.
So you're saying because
Interesting.
Steve Nash does not on that team, you're gonna blame Steve Nash for the reason.
I'm not blaming. I'm not.
Fact.
I'm just dealing with the facts, bro.
Listen. As much as he gave a great fact. I got to give him the points here for that one. That's a good point. We can't sit here and deny that point. That's all I'm saying.
Cute. It's cute, is what it is.
So Manny, why do we start with Jason Kidd if you're starting a franchise?
Because you could build players around him. He makes better players better. You could argue with me with that all day. But let's not forget, Jason Kidd plays defense as well. Yes, Chris Paul plays defense, but Jason Kidd was just as great as the defender. Plus, a point guard getting more rebounds than big men? Come on, bro. Are you serious right now? This man he's top 10 in three-pointers made. Top 10. Where's Chris Paul at? Where's Steve Nash at in that?
So,
they passed him
top
already?
10, but he can't even shoot the
So Jason Kidd is a better defender than Chris Paul, but Jason Kidd has 4 times NBA All Defensive First Team, and Chris Paul has 7. Explain that to me.
How many steals Chris Paul has?
He was the leader. He was the leader
Aren't they
in
playing
6 seasons. Only player in NBA history to do that.
And you said Jason Kidd was only what, 4 times?
4 times. Well, I'm saying NBA All Defensive First Team 4 times. Yeah.
Okay.
And y'all could sit here and talk about all of this. Oh, he bit a better facility.
Hold on. You said he was 4-time All Defensive.
NBA All Defensive.
Because last I checked, he was 9 times.
No, all around. I'm talking about first team. You're talking about all around. I'm talking about first team. The argument that I have against Steve Nash, by the way, is his peak was too short. Zig, I don't know if you could agree with that.
Listen. To be honest, I think when it's all said and done, when CP3 hangs it up, CP3 is going to be better than Steve Nash, in my opinion. CP3 will be better than Steve Nash for all the reasons that you mentioned. I really wished we got an opportunity to see how he was in with LA being able to get to the finals. At least I felt they underachieved. He spent a lot of time toiling around in the first round for a little bit and then getting bounced in the second round. So it would have been amazing to at least see him be able to get at least a trip to the championship, as we saw with Jason Kidd 3 different times.